teams on the field for the first Rugby League Test match for 1970 between Australia and Great Britain. Ideal conditions at Lang Park in Brisbane, a capacity crowd of 45,000. Fine sunny conditions as it's Langlands, the Australian skipper who sends it well downfield. Price, 15 yards out from the Great Britain line, and it's a penalty to Australia.
Yes, a penalty against an offside play by the English forward as Price was bowled over, lost the ball. It seemed a typical tactic of the Australians to kick to Price. We know they were not impressed with his performances last week. He seemed very slow and lethargic, and from that kick-off, the ball immediately went to the English fullback.
And here's Australia's opportunity to gain an early 2 points, and a very welcome 2 points right at the start of the match. It's pretty well in front, and it's a very easy kick for the Australian skipper and fullback. Langlands comes in, and it raised the flag. It's just there. Australia 2, Great Britain 0. Walters in the dummy half position. Smith back inside to Beatson. And these forwards are having a great battle early in this match, particularly the big men, Beatson and Watson and co, as Lynch puts that high one up onto the Great Britain 25. Pressure on Lynch, on the fullback Price. And the touch judge's flag is up.
Yes, well, the Australian tactics are quite obvious now. There we saw on the fourth tackle the very high up and under by Lynch, dead in front of the English fullback. They're certainly playing or putting the pressure on Price.
5 minutes of play in the first half, Australia leading 2-0. It's Hepworth's ball into the scrum, and it's a penalty to Australia. Another chance for Australia to a rather...
Yes, it's Chisnell being pulled out. He's obviously said something to the referee and is being told about it. And with 2 points up from the first penalty and a possibility of a second to follow, it looks very, very good for Australia at the moment.
Very little breeze to upset the kick as it's in the air, and it's there. Australia lead 4 points to 0 after 6 minutes of play. Myler sends it past to Robinson, and over the top came Beatson. Beatson being called out with Morgan, referee talking to Morgan. That's not Beatson, he's talking to Morgan.
Yes, well, the battle is certainly on up forward, where the big men of both teams are trying to get on top within this first 20 minutes. This is going to tell who is going to win this test. There's not much doubt about that.
At this stage, the penalties are 3-all the penalties. Australia leading 4-0 as Price will set this one. It's right in front. Not a great deal of breeze. It's a very warm, pleasant winter's afternoon, but very little breeze at this stage as Price sets this one in centre field, and it's 12 yards in from the halfway mark. On his performances last week, we'd think that Price would kick this one. In comes Price for the first attempt at point for Great Britain, and it's waved away. "35 yards out from the line. Lynch, that long pass to Beatson, standing out wide, caught immediately by Riley, and a couple of other players in there with him for good measure. Hawthorn trying that short kick over the head with Sullivan dropping back and King racing down. Bit of a let-off then for Great Britain with the Great Britain winger Sullivan picking it up. Chisnell. And the ball, as you can see, reaped out of his arms, crossed to Coote. And again, it's a loose ball with Chisnell regathering for Great Britain. 20 yards out from the Great Britain line. Robinson. Coote, the tackler. That's Riley, number 25, with Hardesty chucking it across to Lawton, and in possession Hardesty, but the knock-on ruled.
Yes, well, the first gap in either forward defence came when Robinson started to stride down the middle. He found the first break. Number 22, the big second row forward.
Australian ball, Hawthorn, Smith round behind him. Robinson, the tackler, and Beatson broke away pretty easily then. 35 yards out, right in centre field, Smith. Penalty Australia, standing right up Great Britain, and it's right in front. Comparatively easy kick for Graham Langlands, about 35 yards back. Here's the chance to make it 6-0. That looks good, that's there. Australia 6, Great Britain 0. Play in progress, 19 minutes in the first half. Interesting to see that the penalties favour Great Britain by 5-4. Langlands right up behind the movement. Following through the kick down to the Great Britain 25, Flanagan. Langlands for the tackle. Dropped by Shoebottom. Loose. Picked up by Australia. It was Hawthorn. The Australian 5'8", 10 yards out from the line. A near one for Great Britain. Wittenberg in the dummy half position. Here's Australia's chance now. Beatson. An inside pass to Morgan, and Morgan's over. A great try. The first try of the Test match to Morgan. Let's see it again on action replay. Down to the Great Britain 25, Flanagan. Langlands for the tackle. Dropped by Shoebottom. Loose. Picked up by Australia. It was Hawthorn. The Australian 5'8", 10 yards out from the line. A near one for Great Britain. Wittenberg in the dummy half position. Here's Australia's chance now. Beatson. An inside pass to Morgan, and Morgan's over. A great try.
Well, at 9 points to 0, there's no doubt about it. Australia are in front and on top in this Test match. They've done their job very, very well indeed, continually pressing the Great Britain side and bustling them into errors, and errors are coming.
Langlands has the opportunity to make it 11-0 in favour of Australia, just setting it in from the 25 and 12 yards in from touch. Still very little breeze, moving the flag post. It's a good kick too. Look at that one. It's through. Australia 11, Great Britain 0. Play in progress, 21 minutes in the first half. Pretty vigorous tackle. Wittenberg was in there as well as Riley. Lynch, one of the tacklers, number 10 for Australia, the second rower. That high pass was picked up by Hardesty, and in turn is flicked back again to the Watson. Watson making good ground then. It's only 10 yards out from the Australian line. Great Britain's chance with Flanagan up in the dummy half position to Myler. Following through, but was bowled over after he kicked the ball, not being allowed to follow through. And the referee gives the penalty to Great Britain.
Yes, it was Myler who put through that little grubber kick, as so often we see Englishmen do in the past, have seen them done. So Myler used it on this occasion and used it to advantage, but he was bowled over after kicking the ball as he was about to follow through.
He'll give it to Flanagan. No doubt, there's Flanagan. Hardesty doubling round again with the dummy. Here's Watson bursting through, and Watson will score between the posts for Great Britain's first try of the first Test match. Let's see it again on action replay. And it's in that same position again with Hardesty. He'll give it to Flanagan. No doubt, there's Flanagan. Hardesty doubling round again with the dummy. Here's Watson bursting through, and Watson will score between the posts for Great Britain's first try of the first Test match.
Well, there was some very, very pretty play from a set move, and Hardesty was the man who set it up. He was in that tap very, very well indeed.
Price's attempted conversion has raised the flags. Australia lead Great Britain by 11 points to 5, and play has been in progress for 27 minutes in the first half. Caught about a yard outside of his own line in front of the stand, and Myler this time takes it away. 10 yards out from the Great Britain line. Chisnell. Very hard to penetrate as the 16-stoner loses the ball, but the referee ruling a knock-on. And meantime, as you can see, there's a scuffle on the ground, and it's on. The first real incident in this test match, with two players on the ground starting a box on, and then several other players being involved. Morgan and Watson appeared to be the players, and it broke out from there. But all is quietening down now. The first outburst in this test match.
Yes, well, there it was, and Watson was certainly in it, as was Beatson.
And Morgan,
the big prop for Australia.
The injured Australian player is Morgan. Seems that Watson may have come out the better of that duel between those two. As the ambulance attendant has been called onto the field, and Morgan looks pretty sick.
Well, it's surprising that the game has gone as long as it has without this flare-up. I thought that it would have happened possibly in the first 5 or 10 minutes. But there it is. The pressure has been down there all the time in spite of the scores. I think this fellow is Chisnell that's been called out, Arthur, the prop forward.
Yes, it's Chisnell who's standing there. There he is. He turns around. We can see his number 15. Chisnell was the player called out. It's in the far corner of the ground as the scrum packs down just outside of the Great Britain line. It'll be interesting to see what happens now with Australia leading by 11 points to 5. And it's the Great Britain halfback Hepworth ball into the scrum, won by Great Britain with the lock out of the scrum, Riley. And he's 10 yards out from his own line. This is Chisnell, and there's plenty of Australian players going into Chisnell on this occasion. In that incident from the distance, it appeared to be Watson, but apparently it was Chisnell. He was the player called out. Now it's Lawton, tackled 15 yards out from his own line. Back to Price. And it's Price who attempts to kick them out of trouble down to the halfway mark. Langland's underneath it and takes it well, right near the line. Price get away from Hepworth, but there are other defenders there. And Langland's is 5 or 6 yards inside Great Britain territory. This is Hawthorn and Brass. And Great Britain have stolen the loose ball. Flanagan, the hooker, plays it. Hepworth over the halfway mark. Long pass out to Robinson, but Beatson moves in quickly for the tackle with Morgan coming in behind him. Great Britain just inside Australian territory now as it goes to Lawton. Sullivan, the winger, waiting for the ball, but Lawton had no hope of passing it. 12 yards inside Australian territory as Hardesty puts that high up and under type kick down towards the Australian 25, but bouncing back to Robinson, and Robinson's tackled by Coote. The third tackle, one to go. Riley reversing play to Flanagan. I thought it was the third tackle. It's knocked on by Myler, and the knock-on to be played.
Yes, there's an Australian player down there. It looks like Wittenberg, the big prop. Looks like a shoulder injury.
Smith's ball in the trouble in the front row, and the hookers are down. The Great Britain ball as Hepworth has it. Hawthorn, one of the tacklers, and the other one was Weiss. The first man in was Weiss. This is Robinson stepping very well. Riley close up behind him. Hepworth up to the Australian 25, and it's an Australian ball. Beatson, Hawthorn, Brass, McDonald. About the first time McDonald's handled the ball all day, I'd say. 35 yards out from his own line. Brass up in the dummy half position. Smith, Beatson. And it's away again to Smith. Lobbed out wide to Coote. Very nearly picked it up on the halfway mark. Sullivan in possession, the right winger for Great Britain. Robinson limping badly for Great Britain as Flanagan takes it across the field. Hardesty, and Hardesty kick appeared to be out, was out on the full. scrum to pack down just inside Great Britain territory. Australia leading 11-5, 5 minutes to go before half-time.
And Robinson is in real trouble. It looks like an ankle injury or a knee. Knee, I would say. His left knee is heavily bandaged.
Irving wears number 24 jersey and is coming onto the field, about to come onto the field. Irving in 24 jersey. Very energetic forward as Great Britain move the ball away, as riding across field, Australian ball, McDonald in possession. 12 yards inside Australian territory. Shoebottom, one of the tacklers with Myler. Beatson flipped it back to Langlands, right up behind the movement. Here's a tactical kick, and it could beat the fullback. It'll run into touch, I think, but behind the goal line, as Price was covering it back behind that corner post. And Great Britain will bring it back to the 25 yards mark. Irving on for Robinson in the Great Britain side as he's about to come on. He's waiting for the orders to come onto the field with Chisnell in Riley in possession 35 yards out from the line. Now we see the Lawton waiting to see how Robinson fares on the sideline before Irving is sent onto the field. Riley, it's Myler, and beat the tackle nicely. Myler up to the halfway mark, looking for support. Flanagan's up there with him, but Billy Smith, the tackler, just inside Australian territory. Riley kicks across on the grandstand side, and it's out on the full. So play comes back for a scrum. Still no decision as to whether Robinson will come back onto the field. Obviously, they're trying to get him back onto the field, Robinson, with Irving standing by. So Great Britain with 12 players on the field at this moment, close to the halfway mark. Australian ball with the Hawthorn going up the blind side out to King. King racing down the touchline over the 25, inside of Hardesty, but Hardesty held to him as he appeared to have beaten his opposite number there just for a moment. Smith sending the pass back inside to Beatson. Only 10 yards out from the line. Australia's chance to score again now before half-time as Smith sends it on to Hawthorn. Hawthorn to Brass, and a good tackle from Myler upset that play with now Australia in possession again. The front row, Morgan, 20 yards out from the line. And a field goal attempt from Hawthorn right in front. It's a pretty good attempt. And it's there. A field goal by Hawthorn. Australia go to a lead of 13 points to 5 with about 2 minutes of play remaining before the half-time break.
Well, Robinson has hobbled back onto the field. He seems far from comfortable as his left left ankle is very, very heavily bandaged. He seems to be hopping around, not comfortable at all.
Hardesty to kick off. Out towards the terrace side of the field, 15, 20 yards inside Australian territory. With racing through comes Weiss. Right up to the halfway mark. Walters in the dummy half position. Smith over the halfway mark. Riley, one of the tacklers, with Flanagan. Walters in the dummy half position. Weiss then to Beatson. Towed through by Watson. Well, Langlands dropping back. Watson is there. But away goes Langlands. Pushes away from Lawton. And Langlands props inside another player. Bounces away from Chisnell. Up to the halfway mark. Two-bottom comes in, and so does Watson. Watson, the original tackler, helps put Langlands to ground. And Langlands is hurt in that tackle. He's on the ground. That was Watson's tackle as Wittenberg dodges a high one then from Riley. And Wittenberg takes players with him, as you can see, over the halfway mark. Walters in the dummy half position. Plenty of fire on. Langland still on the ground. Hawthorn out to Brass for McDonald. McDonald trying to step round Sullivan and gets it away, or tried to get it to King, and it went straight into touch.
Yes, well, the play's starting to open up a little now, as we could expect, with nothing more than a couple of minutes to go to half-time as Australia to try to press home their advantage by giving the ball plenty of air.
Langland's back on his feet again, moving back to his full-back position, but he's holding his face. He obviously took a pretty nasty bump. A couple of yards inside Great Britain territory. Half-time coming up at any moment. Hardesty. Brass, the tackler. Riley. Myler. Australian ball. Walters. Ball being jolted out of players' hands on quite a number of occasions in this match. And it's a Great Britain ball again, just as we spoke. Flanagan to Lawton. And again it's a loose ball as Wittenberg bursting through. Walters dives on the loose one. Walters' ball changing hands at a rapid rate. 10 yards inside Great Britain territory. It's out to Smith on that blind side. Here's King inside. The tackler is Hepworth with support. And the half-time siren is sounded. Both sides scoring one try each. The Australian try scored by Morgan. Great Britain's try to Watson. But Australia lead by 13 points to 5 at half-time. As it's Hardesty who kicks downfield to Weiss, who replaced Lynch in the first half. 35 yards out the line. Irving was on the field now. You saw then the tackle, number 24, replacing Robinson. Wittenberg in possession for Australia. The tackler, Riley, number 25. Walters, Smith, and Coote. 10 yards short of halfway. Irving, the tackler. Rather smoky conditions at the moment, with some smoke from a fire coming across the ground as the Australians kick downfield, and it's knocked on by Price on the 25. Back on the Great Britain side was gathered by Atkinson, the winger. 15 yards out from the line. Here's Riley. In front of the goal post, 20 yards out. The halfback on the dummy half position. On the 25, as Watson played the ball back, straight back to Price, kicking well downfield to Coote. Coote's the winger. Right on the halfway mark, Lawton, one of the tacklers, number 26. There's Weiss. 10 yards inside Great Britain territory. Beatson pushed Irving away, and he somehow or other got the pass back to Weiss. Pretty heavy work amongst the forwards there. Chisnell, number 15, the tackler of Weiss. Hawthorne following through the little kick. Flanagan's there, and it's gathered by McDonald. McDonald in possession. McDonald races away, and McDonald scores Australia's second try between the posts. Let's see it again on action replay. And he somehow or other got the pass back to Weiss. Pretty heavy work amongst the forwards there. Chisnell, number 15, the tackler of Weiss. Hawthorne following through the little kick. Flanagan's there, and it's gathered by McDonald. McDonald in possession. McDonald races away, and McDonald scores Australia's second try between the posts. Australia leading 16-5. Langland's attempting the conversion right in front. This should make it 18-5. Langland's in for the kick, and up go the flags. Australia 18, Great Britain 5. Doubling round Shoebottom. It wasn't Shoebottom, it was the lock, Riley. I thought it was Shoebottom for a moment. The lock coming away from it. Shoebottom this time, number 10. Australian player left on the ground injured as it's sent across to Chisnell to Hardesty. Chance for Great Britain now, out to the wing to Atkinson. Atkinson flies for the line, but a good tackle. The touch judge's flag up, only a yard out from the corner.
Yes, well, the ball is starting to do the work there as Great Britain swing into the attack, but still the Australian cover defence saved the day.
Injured player is Brass. Australian centre has ambulance attendants coming from both sides of the ground to have a look at Brass. 16-stone prop. Walters and Morgan, the tacklers. That's Lawton sending it to Riley. 30 yards out in front of the posts. Hepworth at dummy half. Lawton, Sullivan. Good tackle from King. Right underneath him. Watson, Hepworth, Watson. On the halfway mark, the fourth tackle, the scrum to go down close to the halfway mark, with Australia leading 18-5 after 11 minutes of play in the second half. The scrums favour Great Britain 9-8. Not much in it there. The penalties favour Great Britain 9-7. Smith's ball in. Australian ball, Smith on the blind side. Hawthorne King. Sullivan, the tackler. 10 yards inside Great Britain territory. Coote, Weiss. Walters in the dummy half position. Beatson running onto it. Crashing through. On the Great Britain 25. Made a lot of ground again, Beatson. Weiss. Smith. Coote. Out wide to King, and King races across. He's coming up between the posts, and Johnny King touches down to score Australia's third try. Here it is again on action replay. Crashing through. On the Great Britain 25, made a lot of ground again, Beatson. Weiss, Smith, Coote. Out wide to King, and King races across. He's coming up between the posts, and Johnny King touches down to score. Langland's moving in, and there it is, and another 2 points, and the Australian total moves to 23.
Well, the big success of the Australian points margin at the moment is the fact that their forwards are now moving onto the ball very, very well. They're holding back, running onto the ball and piercing very, very deep into Great Britain territory. They're splitting that first line of defence, and there is no cover whatever.
Australia 23, Great Britain 5, play in progress, 12 minutes in the second half. Weiss unable to gather, and it's Beatson out wide. Irving, the tackler, number 24. Smith. Morgan. Wittenberg. Ten yards short of the halfway mark. Back to Langlands. Stepping away from Hepworth and deciding to follow through on the little kick with Riley. Weiss, one of the tacklers. Underneath was Walters. Just inside Great Britain territory, Flanagan distributes it to Lawton on the halfway mark. Wittenberg was over the top. Weiss underneath. Walters was in there as well. Flanagan in a dummy half position. Goes on to Watson. Out to Hardesty and then to Sullivan. Very quickly on the wing on the halfway mark. McDonald in there with King for the tackle. Price, the fullback, to play it back. Hardesty gives it then to Irving, to Myler. Walters, the tackler. Morgan in there for support. Long one. There's that second row forward, sending it wide out to Shoebottom in the centres. Still on the halfway mark. Hepworth. And this is Watson. Wider still as Hardesty loses it. Gathered by Sullivan, the whistle for the knock-on.
Yes, it's very, very interesting to note there that as the Great Britain movement came across in towards the cameras, the cover defence of the Australians, there must have been at least 7 players there to cover the movement should the danger been.
25 minutes remaining in the first test match at Lang Park in Brisbane, with Australia leading by 23 points to 5. Smith to Hawthorn. King on the halfway mark. Coote, Beatson. And Weiss sends his pass to McDonald. Great Britain ball is gathered then by Riley. And Atkinson, the winger, standing up alongside of him, 10 yards inside Australian territory. Morgan, the tackler. Following through goes Shoebottom. Back to Langlands, 10 yards out from the line. And away from Shoebottom goes Langlands, over the 25. Takes a lot to stop. Atkinson was the man trailing him through. Wittenberg up at dummy half, 35 yards out from the line. Walters. And Brass, caught by Myler. And Hawthorn this time. Midway between the Australian 25 and the halfway mark, Wittenberg. Sullivan, one of the tacklers, moving in quickly. Also in there, Watson. Sullivan was the more vigorous of the two. Just short of the halfway mark. Back to Langlands, close up behind the ruck. and it's well downfield. Atkinson tries to juggle it like a soccer player with his feet, but missed it. Just over the 25, and it's Weiss underneath, holding him by the ankles with support coming in. Great Britain back on their own 25, Flanagan and Irving. Morgan and Wittenberg, the tacklers then. Watson, Riley, Hepworth, up towards the halfway mark now, waiting for support. Here's Myler, and it's way to Sullivan. A lovely tackle from Coote, put him into touch.
Well, there once again we see the Great Britain side finally overcome the midfield defence by giving the ball plenty of air, but still the cover defence was there, and this has been a feature of the Australians' play, not only defence in the middle, but they're covering extremely well.
Scrums favour Australia by 10-9 as the referee orders the scrum to come back in field. 10 yards in from touch. Australia have scored 3 tries to 1 and lead by 23 points to 5. Hepworth for Great Britain. Hardesty. Tacklers were Coote and Hawthorn. Riley. In front of the post, 35 yards out. Hepworth. That was Flanagan, the long pass to Hardesty. Over the 25, flick pass then to Lawton. Lawton moving it well across then to support up alongside is Flanagan, and Flanagan touches down for Great Britain's second try. Let's have a look at it again on action replay. In front of the post, 35 yards out. Hepworth. That was Flanagan, the long pass to Hardesty. Over the 25, flick pass then to Lawton. Lawton moving it well across then to support up alongside is Flanagan, and Flanagan touches down for Great Britain's second try.
Well, it's very, very obvious what is winning this game for Australia. Quite apart from their brilliant attack, it is their extremely strong defence, because given room in which to manoeuvre, this Great Britain side can certainly play football. The defence has not given them that room in which to manoeuvre.
Price attempting the conversion, but it appears to be away to the left of the uprights. Australia 23, Great Britain 8. Australia has scored 3 tries to 2, but have the commanding lead of 23-8. Billy Smith brings it back to the halfway mark. Brass puts it downfield over the Great Britain 25. Sullivan. Australian ball. Wittenberg. King up in the dummy half position to Smith. Racing in was Chisnell with some assistance to Irving, but he wasn't required for assistance. Morgan on the 25. Walters gives it to Smith. Field goal attempt from Smith. It's going to be pretty close, this one, but just away, I'd say. Yes, and it's just away to the right of the uprights.
Centre John McDonald was following that kick through, just waiting for a favourable bounce.
Back to the 25. 20 minutes remaining in the first test, with Australia leading 23-8. Flanagan, Riley, and another loose ball. A lot of loose ball in this match, but lucky to retain possession. No knock-on, said the referee. Chisnell, Irving, Walters having quite a fight with him for possession, with Wittenberg in there as well. Flanagan, Chisnell, Watson rather. Brass couldn't see it, lost sight of it for the moment, and the knock-on to be played.
Yes, well, very expensive error for Great Britain in the last 3 or 4 minutes has been the fact that they have not been able to hold the ball when they did have it. They've given the ball away on the first and second tackle, and the Australians have been able to take the 4 tackles following that.
This is 35 yards out, the Great Britain line now, as the scrum moves back a few yards. Hepworth to lock Riley. Hepworth. Coote, the tackler. Flanagan, Lawton. In midfield, Lawton, Flanagan rather, and Hepworth. Brass the tackler. Hardesty, and it's out on the full.
It is interesting to note how referee Don Lancashire, referees from the defensive side, play the ball on that 5-yard mark, which is not commonly seen in Queensland.
Hepworth's ball in. Penalty to Great Britain against the Australian front row. Just outside the 25 as Price kicks a touch and finds touch midway between the halfway and the Australian 25. 22 minutes of play, Australia 23, Great Britain 8. Flanagan in headgear to Chisnell. Not far short of the Australian 25 as it goes to Lawton, back to Irving. Beatson, one of the tacklers, underneath Morgan. Flanagan in the dummy half position. Beatson took his time to get off Irving. Long pass from Riley to Hepworth. Flanagan. Players slowed down considerably at this moment. And it's a penalty to Great Britain right in front as Flanagan was tackled by the Australian Weiss, fighting for possession, and the referee said it was a Great Britain ball, a penalty to Britain in front.
Yes, well, Flanagan on that occasion had nowhere to run. The Australian defence is doing their job very, very well indeed. Chisnell too, as we've seen today, has had nowhere to run. In the Queensland game, we saw him taking the ball wide and stepping downfield. This is not happening today as the Australian forwards move in very, very quickly and stop his progress.
A few words of advice from the crowd as Great Britain decide to take a kick at goal, trailing 23-8. Price to kick it right in front, 28 yards out. He's only kicked 1 from 4 attempts so far. A bad day for Price today, and there goes the kick. That's 2 points. 2 out of 5 to Price, and that takes the Great Britain total to 10, 23-10. Play in progress, 24 minutes in the second half.
Well, Graham Langlands must be feeling very, very confident on the result of this game. 23 points to 10 in front and something like 15 minutes remaining. He must feel that the game is his.
Smith. And it's Langlands who drives it right down the middle towards the goal posts, and it's out over the dead ball line with Great Britain to bring it back to the 25. Obviously that was the idea.
Yes, Australia again forcing Great Britain to work their way out of their own territory.
Flanagan to take the tap from the 25 to Chisnell. Wittenberg's there immediately to meet him with Walters. Flanagan, that long pass to Myler. Players lost a lot of its sting in this last few minutes. 35 yards out as Hepworth gives it to Watson. Underneath Wittenberg. Irving, and that's Price, the fullback, coming right up with the movement to put that high kick up in the air. Coote. Just inside Great Britain territory. McDonald in a dummy half position following through the little kick. And he's picked up the ball, McDonald, grabbed immediately by Atkinson. But some very nice football from John McDonald. Smith, Coote. Here's Australia's chance again, flicked through to Morgan, and Morgan is just over the line. Australia's 4th try of the match. Let's have a look at it again on action replay. In a dummy half position, following through the little kick. And he's picked up the ball, McDonald, grabbed immediately by Atkinson. But some very nice football from John McDonald. Smith, Coote. Here's Australia's chance again, flicked through to Morgan, and Morgan is just over the line. Australia's fourth try of the match. Australia 26, Great Britain 10. Langland's placing it about 15 yards in from touch. And there it goes. He's raised the flags again. Well, Australia 28 points to 10, and Langland's has kicked 7 out of 9.
What a fantastic job Billy Smith is doing out there, organising his forwards. Time and time again, he takes the position of first cab off the rank, runs between two men, holds himself, and then lobs a pass to a forward coming off him short and sharp and penetrating. Coote has been the man who's been doing the damage of him quite a bit, once on the blind side about 10 minutes ago, and there again we saw him run through the gap to set up the try.
Only 13 minutes of play remaining as Hardesty puts it out towards the grandstand side. Racing through was Weiss, and Weiss has broken away right down the touchline, being trailed through by Chisnell. Weiss broken through, but over the 25. A lovely move from Cole Weiss. Big roar from the hometown crowd for Weiss, as away comes Wittenberg this time. Australia again right up near the Great Britain line, only 12 yards out as it comes back for a field goal attempt from Hawthorn, and it's there. A field goal by Hawthorn, and Australia take the total to 30 points to 10 with 12 minutes of play remaining. Great Britain look a pretty dispirited side now.
Yes, they certainly do. Right from the opening minute, the pressure has been put on them, and they've never recovered from the first minute of play.
That was Hawthorn's second field goal. Australia have scored 4 tries to 2. Morgan scored 2 of them. Hardesty, the grubber kick along the ground, bouncing off Wittenberg, trailed through then by Riley. Riley away to Irving. 20 yards out from the Australian line. Great Britain in an attacking position to Riley. 15 yards out from the line. Hepworth in the dummy half position. Here's Flanagan. And Flanagan stepping nicely, beat a player then, but pulled down 10 yards out. The third tackle signals the referee. Myler in the dummy half position. There's Riley. And bursting through comes Lawton, and Lawton's broken through the Australian defence to score Great Britain's third try pretty well between the posts. Let's see it again on action replay. And Flanagan stepping nicely, beat a player then, but pulled down 10 yards out. The third tackle signals the referee. Myler in the dummy half position. There's Riley. And bursting through comes Lawton, and Lawton's broken through the Australian defence. Australia 30, Great Britain 13, with the easiest of conversions for Price in front. 15 yards out. And he's raised the flags. Australia 30, Great Britain 15.
Well, the play has certainly opened up now, as we saw there. Just a reversal of what we've seen previously, where Great Britain held the pass for the forward coming in short and sharp on the burst to really break that first line of defence that has not broken so often in this game.
Just over 10 minutes of play left in this first test match at Lang Park in Brisbane before a crowd of 45,000, as Langlands once again puts it right down the middle. Well taken Price on his own try line. 10 yards out, gives it to support up alongside of him, appeared to be Hardesty. Shoebottom. Nice ankle tackle from Brass. 15 yards out from the line as Hepworth distributes to Watson. Watson out wide to Lawton. Lawton, Hepworth just outside the Great Britain 20. Loose ball, Australian ball picked up by Hawthorn. Tackled by Hepworth. 30 yards out from the line. Walters, right on the 25. Smith and Morgan. Third tackle. In front of the goalpost on the 25. Beatson, inside pass to Langlands coming in. Shoebottom, one of the tacklers, and that's the fourth tackle, the scrum to pack down 15 yards out.
Yes, and still the Australians continue to attack inside Great Britain's 25, as they have so often in this game.
One of the injured players, it's Morgan, Jim Morgan, the Australian prop, as the ambulance attendant has been called on the field to have a look at him. Australia has scored 4 tries to 3, but hold this lead of 15 points. The scrums favour Great Britain by 11 to 10. The penalties favour Great Britain 11 to 7.
Yes, and Graham Langlands is speaking to his backs. It would appear as though he could well be coming into the back line should Australia win the scrummage. He's moving out here now, speaking to John McDonnell, the centre.
Morgan slowly recovering again. He took a nasty knock in the nose earlier in the match after an altercation with Watson and then Chisnell, who probably did the most of the damage later on, but he seems all right again, Morgan, and Langlands is standing right up behind his back line, anticipating Australia winning the scrum. Pretty close up behind the Australian backs, 20 yards out from the line. It's Hepworth's ball into the scrum. It's coming, spinning right round. It's a Great Britain ball. Riley out of the scrum to Hardesty. Tackler Brass. Shoebottom up in the dummy half. Riley. And that was a funny sort of a pass, but it went back as Australian ball. Morgan sends it away. Smith. Brass. 20 yards out from the line. Pushed back by Watson. Walters in the dummy half position. Decides to go on his own. Beats and couldn't hold it. Flanagan. Tackler is Brass. Hardesty. Myler. Very long pass in front of his own try line to the halfback out there, Hepworth. Then to Lawton. Lawton out further to Shoebottom and out to Atkinson on the wing. Juggling match, and he's almost into touch. But yes, he is. The touch judge's flag is up. 10 yards short of halfway. 8 minutes of play remaining. Australia 30, Great Britain 15. Hepworth's ball in. Out on the Australian side, Smith picked up by his opposite number, back towards the halfway mark. Coote runs from dummy half. Hepworth the tackler. Wittenberg. 10 yards inside Great Britain territory in centre field. Hawthorn following through up to the 25. Chisnell has it and followed nicely through by Hawthorn. 10 yards out from the Great Britain line. Sullivan. Myler. Over the 25, Myler. The inside pass then to Watson. To Price, rather. To Sullivan. And it's Coote the lock. Hawthorn. Riley, one of the tacklers with Lawton. Putting plenty of vigour into that tackle. Riley and Lawton leaning all over the top of him. Penalty Australia, right up offside, especially Hardesty, the 5'8". Less than 7 minutes of play remaining. It's only a case of playing out time now, it seems, with Australia leading 30 points to 15. And Langlands is going to take the kick at goal, 35 yards out and 15 yards, a bit more, about 18 yards in from touch.
Yes, and Australia completely in command now. Again, making certain that they play in Great Britain's half, and this has been the feature throughout the entire game. When in your own half, kick deep and put the pressure on the opposition and force them into errors and take advantage with penalty kicks, etc. And this has been Australia's tactics throughout, with Billy Smith, in particular around the forwards from rucks, distributing the ball extremely well.
Langlands has kicked 7 out of 9 as he attempts this one. Seems to be struck. It's there. 8 out of 10 kicks to Graham Langlands. 16 points from goal kicks. Australia have scored 4 tries to 3. 5 minutes of play remaining. Hardesty. And Hardesty kicks out towards the grandstand side in front of Weiss, and another player out wide was, couldn't see who it was for a moment, but it was Coote, and it's into touch. 35 yards out from the Australian line. Penalty, Great Britain.
Foot
Up in the scrum. Two great minds think alike, Ted.
Good on you, Arthur.
Price kicks for touch in front of the stand and finds touch on the 25. Second kick to come. Atkinson hands it to Hardesty. Hardesty to Flanagan, Hardesty. And here's bursting through Riley. 20 yards out from the line. Shoe bottom, dummy half. Hepworth out very wide then to Chisnell back inside. Shoe bottom. Flanagan, Hepworth, and almost intercepted by Wittenberg. Regained by Hepworth. Coote the tackler. 25 yards out, Flanagan. Watson dropped it. Short, hard pass. Hard one to hold anyway. Australian ball dropped, knocked on by Wittenberg, and there's the whistle for the scrum. Australia leading 32-15.
There's some play, the standard of play, starting to fall away a little bit now.
10 yards out from the Australian line. Australian ball to Coote. Over the 25, Coote. Back inside into Smith. Tackler was Riley. Being pushed away then by Langlands coming through. Bursting through was Beetson. Up to the halfway mark, Beetson. Riley didn't like that one very much as he was pushed away and then followed through behind Beetson. But the tackler was Irving. Beetson felt that one, slow getting to his feet. Weiss, 10 yards inside Great Britain territory. The third tackle signalled by the referee. Hawthorne. Sullivan. King. Knock on. 35 yards out from the Great Britain line.
Yes, and once more we saw Hawthorne with his little kick over the top worry the Great Britain side, and once again two of the Australian backs always ready to move up onto the ball when it's kicked.
About 2.5 minutes of play remaining. Australia 32, Great Britain 15. The scrum just outside the Great Britain 25 on the terraced side of the field. About 30 yards out, Hepworth's ball. Hardesty. There's the fullback into the movement to Myler. Watson, Hepworth. Good run from Hepworth over the halfway mark. Way to shoe bottom. And a long lofted pass out towards Atkinson. Atkinson back to shoe bottom. Hepworth bowled over immediately, Hepworth, with Morgan coming through, but Myler has it this time as Chisnell sends it out to Lawton. Out further to Price. Loose on the ground, the pass to Sullivan. And Lawton plays it back. Watson, Chisnell. Myler on the halfway mark. Great Britain passing the ball about a lot, but not making any ground at all. Chisnell, Riley, Hepworth. Third tackle. Flanagan and Watson. Intercepted by the Australian. Billy Smith, the halfback, over the halfway mark. Changing direction, sends King away, and King starts to race away to the corner, and King will score in the corner. Drives over. Let's see that again on action replay. Tackle. Flanagan and Watson. Intercepted by the Australian. Billy Smith, the halfback, over the halfway mark. Changing direction, sends King away, and King starts to race away to the corner, and King will score in the corner. Drives over. Australia 35, Great Britain 15. The hooter is sounded as the crowd stream onto the ground. Langlands attempting the conversion from way out on the touchline. They'll have to clear the field. Policeman standing behind Langlands to allow him to take the kick. As you can see, we'll soon see thousands of spectators on the ground. We can barely see Langlands. There's Langlands clearly now as he attempts to kick the good kick. It's there all the way. And despite all the crowds on the field, Langland's kicked the conversion to give Australia a first test victory of 37 points to 15. Australia scored 5 tries to 3 rather. And with Morgan scoring 2, King 2, and McDonald the other. Great Britain tries by Watson, Flanagan and Lawton. And the scrums favoured Great Britain by 13 to 12. The penalties favoured Great Britain 12-8. Graham Langland's kicked 9 out of 11 goals. And for Great Britain, Price kicked 3 out of 5. A memorable test match, a great win for Australia, winning by 37 points to 15.